Round of applause for everybody here because you are so privileged to be standing where science meets art. And now we have come to the point in our celebration where when we unveil the historical marker and the 3D printed Jose Rizal monument. And we'd like to call on our beloved DOST Secretary, Fortunato de la Peña, together with our guests from the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, led by Chairperson Rene Escalante, Taguig City 2nd District Representative Congresswoman Maria Laarde Cayetano, DOST Undersecretary Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara, PCOO Undersecretary Chris Ablan. Please join us here. And of course, our artist, Professor Manuel Sicat. We'd like to call on Dr. Asubin also to join us here on stage as a representative of the family of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Another round of applause, please. Because finally, what began as a dream and a vision barely 5 months ago is today here with us in concrete. No, I correct myself, in plastic. So we really want to thank our good secretary for unveiling this monument. And also to our honored guests for joining our good secretary at the Dallas. To give us an overview of the marker in this monument, may we call on the National Historical Commission of the Philippines Chairperson, Rene Escalante. And his message will be followed by the signing and acceptance of the marker between Chair Escalante and DOST Secretary de la Peña. Sir.
DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, Congresswoman Maria Laarde Cayetano, Undersecretary Rowena Cristina Guevara, Undersecretary Chris Ablan, members of the Diplomatic Corps for joining us virtually, officials of the Department of Science and Technology, my colleagues in the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, representative of the descendants of Rizal, Ms. Esther Azurin, representatives of the Knights of Rizal, mga kababayan, good morning to all of you. Today we commemorate the 125th anniversary of the martyrdom of Jose Rizal. Many of us know Rizal as a writer, especially since his two novels, His Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, form part of our readings in high school and college. In these novels, Rizal discussed the political and social conditions of the Filipino society during his time and why it needed to be changed towards freedom and independence. There are many other aspects of Rizal's life which Filipinos can discuss. These include his political influence on the 1896 revolution, his activities while exiled in Dapitan, and his other creative works like his poems, sculptures, and sketches. Some even discuss his love life and the ladies with whom Rizal had some sort of relationship. This year, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines and the National Quincentennial Committee brought to the limelight Rizal's research on history and ethnography as part of this year's commemoration of the Filipino pre-colonial ancestors. We popularized these annotations of Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, in which Rizal corrected misconceptions of foreigners about our ancestors. Since we are now in the midst of a pandemic, it is appropriate that we discuss Rizal as a scientist and his contributions to the different disciplines he engaged himself. He knew that a free and prosperous nation requires its citizens to be healthy. Because of this, he healed his countrymen of various illnesses, even if his specialization was in the field of ophthalmology. He did this while exiled in Dapitan, where many of his patients were poor and underprivileged. Up to now, Filipinos pay tribute to his being a physician. His surgical instruments are currently on display in our museum in Dapitan. We should also relieve the natural curiosity and observant eye of Rizal. He used this not only on social issues, but also on the natural world. This helped him in his research on how to grow crops in his Dapitan estate. He also sent preserved animal samples to his European friends, which led to the identification of this animal species. In recognition of his contributions, some of the species he identified were named after him. The lizard documented was called Draco rizali. The frog he identified was called Rhacophorus rizali, and the beetle was named Apogonia rizali. For these reasons, the theme of this year's commemoration of his martyrdom is Rizal, para sa agham, katotohanan, at buhay. At a time when the works of scientists are being questioned and the truth itself is twisted for self-gain, Rizal reminds us that we can only have a comfortable life if we respect science and defend the truth from those who want to destroy it. We thank the Department of Science and Technology who proposed the theme this year and joined our commemoration. They prepared many programs for the whole month of December in solidarity with us. While we remember the contributions of Rizal to science, let us also thank our scientists from the private and public sector who helped save not only the relics of the past, but also the livelihood of our countrymen at the present. As we inaugurate this 3D sculpture monument, we are reminded of two statues made by Rizal. One has the title, Victory of Death Over Life, This artwork shows a figure representing death carrying a naked corpse. It shows that we cannot stop death, and it will happen to us eventually. Yet, through science, we can prevent premature death and prolong life for a while. We can also control the spread of viruses like COVID-19 if we listen to scientists, take precautions, and get vaccinated. Lastly, we can be safe from calamities brought about by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and strong typhoons if we will follow the warnings of meteorologists and disaster management experts. There is another sculpture of Rizal that is worth mentioning, and it is called Victory of Knowledge Over Death. It depicts a woman carrying a torch representing knowledge while standing over a skull representing death. This is a popular artwork of Rizal and currently reproduced and displayed in Philippine General Hospital, our country's main COVID-19 referral facility. With the guidance of Rizal's memory, let us become victorious from the challenges of the present. Let us join forces in promoting science, truth, and life. Please accept our heartfelt thanks and congratulations to the OST on the unveiling of this historical marker and 3D monument. At this point, may I ask Secretary de la Peña and Yusek Guevara and also my colleague in NHCP, Katekrelita, for the official signing of the turnover paper. Salamat po ng marami. Mabuhay sa bayanang Pilipinas.
Thank you very much, National Historical Commission of the Philippines Chairperson Escalante, for that stirring message. So we'd like to call on Secretary Boy de la Peña, Undersecretary Guevara, Chairperson Escalante, and Architect Reynaldo Lita, who will now sign and accept the turnover of the marker from the National Historical Commission. Thank you very much to the National Historical Commission of the Philippines for giving us recognition that this monument is something of national significance. To express their support to this momentous occasion, may we request Taguig City 2nd District Representative, Congresswoman Maria Larni Cayetano, to share with us her message. And she will be followed with another message of support from PCOO Undersecretary Chris Ablan.
Give them a big round of applause, please. Congratulations to all of you. To the National Historical Commission Chairperson, Rene Escalante. Good to see you again, sir. I would also like to acknowledge today the presence of Attorney Michael Cristan Ablan from the PCOO, Architect Reynaldo Lita from the NHCP, Ms. Esther Lopez Azurin, descendant of Rizal, Professor Jose Manuel Sicat, Dr. Isagani Lisaka, my fellow guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Nandito po tayo ngayon para gunitain ang ika-125 taong anibersaryo ng pagpanaw ng ating bayaning si Dr. Jose Rizal. Ngunit nandito rin po tayo upang ipagdiwang ang kanyang mahahalagang kontribusyon sa ating pong bansa. History, science, and art come together today as we witness the unveiling of Dr. Jose Rizal's marker and his 3D-printed monument. It's indeed amazing how science and technology can immortalize our national hero in the most artistic way possible. We are so proud that Taguig is home to the men and women who made this innovation possible. Having the 3D printing technology available in the country proves the competence and foresight of DOST. Once again, congratulations, and we are so proud of you. In behalf of our former Speaker, Alan Peter Cayetano, the Mayor of Taguig, Mayor Lino Cayetano, and the people of Taguig, please accept our heartfelt congratulations on this initiative. We remain committed to be your partner in ensuring a better quality of life for Filipinos through science and technology. I pray that as we remember Dr. Jose Rizal's death today, we may be inspired to rise up to the challenges we face as a country. These challenges demand our cooperation. When we work together under the spirit of bayanihan, no doubt we can all bring our country to peace and progress. Let me end by sharing with you a verse from Romans 8, verse 28 that says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Again, to the hardworking men and women of DOST, congratulations, and we look forward for more of your innovations. Maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. Mabuhay!
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Maria Larne Cayetano, for your message of support. Let's welcome PCOO Undersecretary Chris Ablan for his message.
Thank you, Director Burgos, Secretary de la Peña, Chair Escalante, my fellow undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, directors, Congresswoman Cayetano, architects, doctors, and other officials, Ma'am Esther, and everyone else here at the Department of Science and Technology. Isang magandang aghampo sa inyong lahat. On behalf po of Secretary Martin Andanar, who could not make it today, he sent po his official who had the most likely resemblance with the national hero, Jose Rizal. That's me lang po. Anyway, we'd like to greet the DOST and the NHCP for this wonderful project. May this 12.5 statue of the Dr. Jose Rizal serve its purpose of being a symbol of national unity and inspiration. I never thought that a machine can actually create a 3D statue of that magnitude and size. 12.5 feet, that is really, really impressive. Let's give a big, big hand po to the DOST. The kid in me would now think that there are many, many applications for this machine of the DOST AMCEN. Not only statues, but many applications. And I look forward to seeing whatever is produced by our 3D machine at the DOST AMCEN, Mr. Secretary, and other projects of the DOST. Kasama niyo po ang PCOO at saka ang FOI po sa pag-cover po ng inyong mga proyekto. Not only from STII, but from our friends from TAPI, from PSHERD, and other bureaus and offices of the DOST. Some words from Rizal around 120 years ago. Dr. Jose Rizal said, "On this battlefield, man has no better weapon than intelligence, no other force than his heart." And those words ring truer today than they did 120 years ago. Only we fight it in a different battlefield. We fight a pandemic, a sickness, a disease that we do not see. We also fight or try to adapt to an environment that we also do not understand, is very, very complex and mysterious. We have to adapt to climate change, and we have to also adapt to disaster resiliency. And all things are made more complicated because in social media, we face disinformation, malinformation, and misinformation. And we need our scientists. We need our scientists to lead us on this battle with this invisible disease. We need our scientists to help us adapt to climate change. And we need our scientists, our researchers, our professors to help us counter disinformation. Kaya po, andito po ang PCOO para ipaabot po sa inyo, Secretary de la Peña at kay Chair Escalante, na ang buong pwersa po ng Presidential Communications Operations Office ay kasama po ng DOST at ng NHCP sa paghatid po ng tama at wastong impormasyon. Wala po sa aking kalihim, Secretary Martin Andanar, at sa buong bumubuo po ng PCOO, suportado po namin ng DOST. Mabuhay po kayo, maligayang kaarawan po ni Jose Rizal.
Thank you very much, Yusek Chris. Tunay na si Rizal ay namatay na may bala sa kanyang katawan. Hindi po yun revised, hindi po yun fake. Katunayan po yun. And because his example, his steadfast belief in his vision for the country rings true for us today, hopefully, we will follow his example. Handa na ba tayo? Tumanggap ng bala sa ating katawan? Mahirap, di po ba? Right. But today, what we are doing underscores our prime objective at DOST, which is to develop technologies and to strengthen our capabilities in using science, technology, and innovation for the benefit of the people. Let us hear from our indefatigable and biggest project supporter, our DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, about his thoughts on this historic unveiling of the marker and the 3D-printed Rizal monument. Sir Boy.
Magandang umaga sa ating lahat at nagpapasalamat ako sa inyong lahat na dumalo. Una-una kay Congresswoman Lani Cayetano at parati akong nagkakamali, mayor pa rin ang tawag ko. Kay Chair Rene Escalante ng National Historical Commission of the Philippines, kay Yusek Chris Ablan ng PCOO, sa ating Yusek Rowena Guevara, Yusek Rene Solidum, aking mga kasamang as Assistant Secretaries, Ted Gatchalian, Donet Sahagun, Leia Buendia, Diane Ignacio, hindi ko na iisa-isahin. Pero mamaya meron pa ako isang babanggiting pangalan na meron ding malaking role dito. At sa ating representative ng Knights of Rizal, si Dr. Salamat sa pagparito ninyo dito. At sa iba pang mga opisyalis ng National Historical Commission of the Philippines. And in a special way, I would like to greet Mrs. Esther Lopez Asurin, a descendant from the Pasiano Rizal side. Okay? And to all of you who work very hard, lalo na yung ating artist and his group and our MIRDC, particularly Amsen and his group, and may I recognize Engineer Fred Lisa here, who has really worked hard, and his co-workers, I don't know whether they are standing or can stand, but some of them have lost a lot of sleep. Thank you very much for your work. And of course, to the staff of ASECTED for the preparations. Ang babalikan ko na lang siguro kung paano nangyari nga itong event na ito. Taon-taon uma-attend ako ng flag racing sa Luneta. And ang pinakahuling natatandaan kung pwede kaming pumunta doon ng malaya at sabihin hindi na kailangan magpa-PCR noong 2019, December 30, 2019. At nagkataon naman noon, alam niyo, masarap ang paalmusal po sa National Historical Commission pagkatapos ng flag racing, kaya hindi muna ako umuwi. Yung ibang mga uma-attend, uuwi agad. Ako, kumakain ako talaga ng kanilang almusal. At pagdating ko doon, actually, yung mga ibang kasama kong cabinet members, nakauwi na. So wala na akong makasama sa table na kilala ko, kaya ako'y sumama na lang sa descendants of Rizal. Sila Esther, sila Mr. Villaruman, sila Gemma Cruz Araneta, sila Bambi Birata, at iba pa. At doon, nabanggit nila na 2 taon na lang ay 125 years nang namamatay si Jose Rizal. So, sabi ko, nako, pwede kayang i-feature naman natin si Dr. Jose Rizal bilang scientist. Siyempre, taga-DOST ako. So, yun ang unang pumasok sa isip ko. And they were very receptive to the idea. And of course, the advice was, talk to the National Historical Commission. Okay? Kasi sila talaga ang nakakaalam pagdating sa mga ganitong bagay. At yun naman ay nabanggit ko na pagkatapos sa aking mga kasamang USEC at ASEC, pero hindi pa kami nagplano ng detalye. Hanggang sa nung sigurong sumapit na naman yung 124 na taon, wala na po, hindi na ako nakapunta ng Luneta. At pagkaraan noon, ay pinaalala ko uli sa kanila na yung plano ko, kailangan sigurong i-follow up natin sa National Historical Commission, yung pagkakaroon ng tema tungkol kay Rizal bilang scientist. At ang ginawa namin, siyempre, naghahanap kami ng aming pagpapasahan ng trabaho. So naisip namin ang National Research Council of the Philippines na Executive Director ay si Dr. Mayet Sumagaysay. Tumayo ka naman dyan, Dr. Mayet, na siya ang nakipag-ugnayan sa National Historical Commission at nangasiwa din sa pagpaplano ng iba pa activities. Alam po ninyo, hindi lang ito ang nabanggit na ng mga naunang nagsalita na kami ay merong iba't ibang programa dito. Tapos na yung aming, ano ba tawag doon? Webinar ba yun? Or forum? Na ipiniture si Rizal sa kanyang kaalaman sa agrikultura. Susunod na dyan yung kanyang kaalaman tungkol sa medisina ng ating PCHRD naman. Ang mangunguna at susunod sa enhinyeriya, kanyang pagiging agromensor at paggawa ng iba't ibang bagay na may kinalaman sa infrastructure. At siyempre, si Jose Rizal ay well known as a social scientist. So, scientist pa rin yun. And yun ang mga preparasyon ng ating National Research Council of the Philippines. Pero hindi siyempre po pwedeng walang information promotion. Kaya si Director Burgos na head ng aming Science and Technology Information Institute naman ang nakakaalam tungkol sa pagpo-promote. Kaya yung mga nakikita kong poster, halimbawa, ay may kinalaman kayo doon, di ba? Okay. Pagkaraan noon, ay inasikaso na yung pagkuha ng approval ng National Historical Commission. Wala pa sa isip namin itong monumento na to. Hanggang sa nung Hunyo po of 2021 ay ininaugurate namin yung aming Advanced Manufacturing Center, no? And pinakita naman doon ang malaki ang kakayahan ng Advanced Manufacturing Center. May kinalaman siyempre sa manufacturing. Kaya nga manufacturing oo. At doon mo makikita yung mga mula sa maliliit hanggang malalaking bagay na ginagawa, mula sa maliliit na piraso ng ngipin na pinagagawa ng mga dentista through 3D printing hanggang doon sa mga prosthetics na pwedeng ipang-replace ng mga parts ng katawan natin ay ginagawa na rin doon. Kaya may isang grupo doon na devoted sa mga medical related products. At syempre, yung sa manufacturing, lalo na yung paggawa ng mga parts. Halimbawa po, marami tayong mga equipment na hindi na gumagana. Halimbawa na lang yung mga mechanical ventilators na hindi na magamit pero pwede pa. Kaya lang wala na yung mga parts. Ayun, actually yung mga parts ay pwedeng gawin. Sa Industrial Technology Development Institute na pinamumunuan ni Dr. Annabel Briones, tumulong sila doon sa pag-3D printing ng mga gamit na mga replacement parts doon sa mga, tawag doon, nagko-connect ng mga ventilators sa pag-deliver ng oxygen, ay ginawa nila yon. At ang kanilang, ang customer nyo dyan ay yung Children's Hospital, hindi ba? Okay, hindi naman customer dahil dinodonate lang naman ninyo, no? So, ang beneficiary. So marami, gaya nga ng sinabi ni Mayor, ni Congresswoman, ni Chair, ay maraming pwedeng magawang produkto diyan sa Advanced Manufacturing Center na 'yan. Kaya nung mayari na, ay hindi ko na malaman kung sino ang nagsuggest na si Director Burgos din. Sabi ni Director Burgos, merong isang rebulto sa New York ba? Sa Amerika. Anong rebulto 'yun? Ha?
It's Vegas.
Hindi nga, anong nga rebulto?
Scout.
Ha?
Scout. The name of the statue was Scout. It's about a woman who represented the workforce of women in construction industry in the U.S.
Ayun. So, nakakita siya ng monumento doon ng mga women who were actually in the construction industry many decades ago. Okay. So, nabanggit niya yon. Hindi ko alam kung si Yusek Geb yung pumick up. Hindi ko na matandaan lahat ng detalye, pero all of a sudden, ang pinag-uusapan na namin ay pagtatayo ng monumento na 3D printed. So, at pati ako nagulat din dahil syempre, bagong teknolohiya yan So, nung nag-aaral kami, wala pa niyan. So, very interesting and very curious kami. At pumayag naman ng Metals Industry Research and Development Center na gawin yan. Pero siyempre, yung korte ng rebulto, hindi naman engineer ang gumagawa. Dahil yun ay work of art. Kaya, tamang-tama naman, katatapos lang na unveil din ang isang monumento sa Professor Manolo Sicat na UP College of Fine Arts na tuturo siya ng studio arts at sculpture. So, siya yung una naming naisipan. Pero kailangan din niya ng impormasyon. Ano ba ang gagawin kong rebulto? Alam naman natin yung rebulto ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Karamihan yung naka-overcoat na gano'n, na nakatayo, okay, na talagang parang hindi kumikilos, nakaganon lang, o kaya medyo nakataas yung isang kamay. Pero dito kasi, since ang pinag-uusapan niya yung kanyang pagiging scientifico, ay pumasok sa isip namin. Actually, marami doon sa kanyang mga ginawa tungkol sa science, hindi naman talaga science for science sake. It was really to have something useful to address a need. And those things happened when he was in Dapitan. Yung panggagamot niya, siyempre, matagal na niyang ginagawa yon, pero hanggang Dapitan, nanggagamot pa rin siya, di ba? Kaya marami. Ako nanonood ng pelikula niya, kaya natututuhan ko lahat yan. Professor Escalante, hindi sa libro, sa pelikula ko nakikita yung mga ginawa ni Rizal sa Dapitan. At pati yung pag-gather niya ng mga bata na kanyang tinuturuan, na kinatuwa naman ng mga magulang, at ginamit din niya sila. Doon sa pagkukolekta ng mga plants and animals na nakikita natin yung iba dito. Kaya may palakang hawak yung bata, may palaka din doon sa merong tubig na tumatalon. Itong lizard na ito, hindi ko alam kung ano sa Tagalog yan, kung himbubuli ba yan o hindi ko alam. Basta yan ay mga ipinangalan sa kanya nung ipadala sa Europe ang kanyang mga specimens. At ako din, nagbabasa din ako ng mga publications sa Ateneo, lalo na nung nag-publish sila ng kanilang 150th year. Nakita ko yung mga kanilang mga laboratories na kung saan nag-aral si Rizal. Sa Ateneo, meron na silang mga physics and biology laboratories. At alam naman natin doon siya nag-aral. Kaya siguro nagkaroon din siya ng interest sa science and technology. So, yun po ang background. Kaya kami ay nagkaroon ng idea magkaroon ng monumento, statue, pero na-decision yan finally. Imagine, June kami nagkaroon ng Advanced Manufacturing Center. I think it was already September when the idea was finalized, and those were the only remaining months for them to have the artist prepare the, tawag sa maliit na model. Okay? And then, after a month na mayari yung modelo na yon, ay to be executed by the Metals Industry Research and Development Center ng AMCEN. At siyempre, since it was a very short time, you can imagine hanggang kagabi, kamakalawa ng gabi, may mga ginagawa pa dyan sa rebulto para ma-finalize. But hindi ko talaga akalain na natating kami sa punto na magkakaroon kami ng historical marker ng National Historical Commission of the Philippines. Mamaya, basahin ninyo dahil napakaganda po ng nakasulat. Most of the things that he did, na-describe na nila Yusek Guevara kanina at ng iba pang nagsalita. Pero siguro, ang gusto ko lang bigyan ng konting emphasis dito, sabi dito sa aking notes, in this historic day of celebrating Dr. Rizal's legacy, we witness the unveiling, of Jose Rizal, the Filipino scientist, the first and largest 3D-printed monument of our hero as of today. And this impressive feat of arts and science is a product collaboration between the DOST and the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. So I really thank everyone involved in this. This monument is a true wonder of the modern Filipino community. It was made using a strong polymer material called ASA. At ito po talaga, kahit siguro isang taong kong kabisahin, hindi ko matatandaan. Acrylonitrile styrene acrylate. Yun po ang raw material na ginamit sa panlabas. Sa panloob ay merong steel structure at meron din siyang semento sa loob. Ngayon, kung itatanong nyo kung gaano tatagal yan, tinanong ako ng media kung yan daw ba ilang taon tatagal, we will make sure, sabi ko, na sa ika-200 taon ni Rizal, nandyan pa yan. Tayo wala na, karamihan sa atin. Pero yung rebulto ay nandyan pa. At yun naman kasi ay mangyayari dahil meron itong regular maintenance na gagawin. Kung merong nasirang bahagi o na-damage, ay madali siyang palitan through 3D printing. Kaya yung 3D printing talagang hindi lang sa maliliit. Sa Bataan, pinag-uusapan na nila ang pagtatayo ng mass housing using 3D printing sa Bataan Provincial Government, di ba? Kaya maraming pwede talang magawa. At binanggit dito na ito ay can stand 330 kph winds. Yusek Rene, ang super typhoon ba ilang kph? 220 ang alam ko, na pag lumampas ng 220 yung sustained winds, yun ang super typhoon. So ito, mas malakas pa. Pero yung earthquake dito, 7.0. Kaya hindi sakop yung 8, ano? 8, pwede to. 8, okay. Saka wala yung fault dito, nandun sa FNRI. But really, I think, nagpapasalamat din kami sa Taguig City. Alam niyo ay kumbaga sa kuan nagkaedad na ako dito sa Taguig, ano, bagamat ako'y taga Bulacan, taga Quezon City. Sa dami ng panahon na balik-balik ako dito sa DOST, nakita ko talaga ang pag-unlad ng Taguig. At sabi ko kay Congresswoman, ito'y makakadagdag sa mga tourist spots ng Taguig City. At ito'y bubuksan namin, ano, para makita, lalo na ang ating mga kabataan. Una po ako nakarating sa Taguig ay 1962. Ay talaga namang probinsyang-probinsya pa ang Taguig. Kulang na lang magkartela kami dito. Pero ngayon ay talagang super city na po ang Taguig. It is my hope that our Filipino youth can look up to this monument, okay, and say, gusto kong maging katulad ni Dr. Jose Rizal, matalino at may pagmamahal sa bayan. As I said, Dr. Rizal did not do science for science sake or for his recognition. He did it for the sake of others. He did science for the people. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary Boy de la Peña. Thank you for stirring in our hearts that love for country through the example of our hero, Jose Rizal. So this monument, this historical marker, will remain standing tall in our midst to remind us always of Dr. Rizal's love for his country and his love for science. For those of you who studied Spanish when you were in school, I hope you still remember Mi Último Adiós. Because if you truly understand it, it's a very stirring piece of literature written just a few hours before the bullets entered Rizal's body. En campos de batalla, luchando con delirio, otros te dan sus vidas, sin dudas, sin pesar. All right? So Rizal was talking about other people who gave up their lives for the country by fighting it out in the battlefields. No? They fought furiously, and they fought without doubt and without regret. But what did he say about his own offering? He said, "A darte voy alegre, la triste mustia vida, y si fuera más brillante, más fresca, más florida, también por ti la diera por tu bien." All right, so Rizal was saying, I happily give up my life for the country, right? And even if it's going to be a sad life, he's writing this as the end of his life. And even if it is a difficult life, I still would like to give it freely and happily. Napakagandang halimbawa, hindi po ba? Pati ako, I'm giving up my voice na rin. Nawawala na rin yung aking voice. Alright? So, siyempre, ang susunod natin gagawin ay very important din siya kasi we will have group photos. And this will be official photos, okay? So, but before we take the photos and consign them to history, ayan, nahulog na. we'd like to invite everybody to tell everybody else that here's a statue that's worth visiting. It's located in Bikutan at the DOST compound, and it's a remarkable monument because it is the product of the confluence of technology, science, and the arts, so, which we celebrate here today. Okay? So we extend our invitation to all Filipinos to visit this monument here at the DOST and draw inspiration from Dr. Rizal on how we as Filipinos in our own humble way, in the battlefields, in our own homes, in our schools, in our offices, can contribute to the development of our country. And we can do this by having Rizal as our role model, our Pinoy idol. So, as we close this program, I'd like to thank the following officers who made this commemorative activity possible: the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the local government of Taguig, the Department of Science and Technology Office of the Undersecretary for Research and Development, the National Research Council of the Philippines, the Metals Industry Research and Development Center, and the Science and Technology Information Institute, as well as to all the men and women who also generously and gladly gave of their time, their expertise, and their service to make this project come true. So I'd like to call for the first batch, the group one of our photo taking. We'd like to have Secretary de la Peña, Chair Rene Escalante, and Professor Jose Manuel Sicat, the artist. All right, so the three may remain where they are. We'd like to request Jose Guevara, Architect Reynaldo Lita of the National Historical Commission, Congresswoman Larnie Cayetano, and Jose Christian Ablan to join us in the next photo. Thank you very much. In the next photo, we request Secretary de la Peña, Chair Rene, and Professor Jose Manuel Sicat to remain and be joined by the representatives of the Knights of Rizal, Dr. Isagani Lisaka, and Ms. Esther Lopez Azurin. Thank you very much. For Group 4, we will have Secretary de la Peña, Chair Escalante, Yusek Guevara, Professor Sicat, Architect Lita, and other officials of the National Historical Commission. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next group photo will be with Secretary de la Peña, Chair Escalante, Yusek Guevara, Architect Lita, and DOST officials. Please join us here. So thank you very much, everyone. We would like to announce that snacks are available at the holding tent. This is the bigger tent at the back. The bigger white tent at the back. So snacks will be served in that area. Again, thank you very much for joining us in this